Hebrews 13 still, verse 16. I talked about the first part of this verse last time. And do not forget to do good. That's pretty, like, out front, pretty easy to understand. Do good. Why? Because I think this is one of the ways that we offer to God a sacrifice of praise in addition to the fruit of lips that openly profess his name. One of the ways I can profess his name is by following the don't forget to do good, and then to share with others. There's a lot of ways to share with others. I don't know, maybe I'm pretty sure where you live, it's different than where I live. In Las Vegas, we live, everybody I know, everybody I know, lives in a house or an apartment where there are 6 feet concrete walls between the houses. The apartments are, legitimately geared for security. It's easy to pull into your driveway and pop the garage door opener, get inside, the garage door comes down, and that's it. I have literally seen our neighbors maybe half a dozen times in the 2 years we've been here. That's not evil. But one of the things it does is it makes it more difficult. I think it makes it more difficult to share with others. And when we lived in Edmond, Oklahoma, it wasn't a 6-foot concrete block wall, but it was a stockade fence. I barely talked to our neighbors in the 3.5 years we were there. They barely talked to me. I would occasionally see them drive into their driveways, and then they would hustle into their house or into the garage. And so I don't think that's a sin. I don't think it's evil, but I think it makes it more difficult to share with others. So, especially for introverts, I've told you this before, my kids Jenny and her husband Garrett are extroverts. They love engaging with people. They know our neighbors. They've talked to them. They've got their story. And that's a good thing. But that's more difficult for introverts. So here's the question. Do introverts get a hall pass? Do we don't need to bother with this share with other thing? No. This is for all believers, whatever your temperament, whatever your personality style, share with others. Okay, so let's talk about share with others. If we were together, like in person, I'd say, so let's make a list of ways that we could share with others. Things that we could do or say that would fit in this category of share with others. We could make a very long list, and you would think of things that I probably wouldn't. Can't really have that dialogue here, but let's think together about it. What can I share with my neighbor, with someone else, others? Well, at the top of the list for me comes time. Because if I'm going to share with somebody, it's going to cost me time, right? And I kind of have an advantage at this stage of my life. I've got a lot more time now than I ever had before. But I remember when time was a commodity there was just not very much of. And by the time I finished my day of work, I was pretty much talked out and listened out, and there wasn't much left of me. So I remember that pretty vividly, and maybe you're there too. But if I'm going to share with others, I have to be realistic and make myself aware this is going to cost me. It's going to cost me time. And again, I'm speaking for introverts here. It's going to cost you initiative. You don't want to do it. You're not inclined for it. But you're going to have to initiate contact with others if you're going to share with them. I don't have a magic formula for how you do that, other than to say, as an introvert, you're going to have to make a decision and become intentional about sharing with others. Okay. So you got time, you got intention, and then a plan. My intentions to be more open to other people are good. But without a plan, they're just a passing emotion. What's my plan? My plan is not going to be like yours. We're two different people in two different places, and the plans, I would say the only, and I can be wrong on this, but the only bad plan is to not do it, to not bother, to just sit back down and let the feeling pass. Well, what's your plan? Because if you're going to share with others, you have to engage with them. If you're, again, extroverts, this is just like it's going to leak out of them. Introverts, no. So if you're an introvert, make a plan. If you're an extrovert, it'd be probably a good idea to make a plan anyway and be more strategic. And yet that kind of sounds dumb. So am I putting people in this hierarchy of important to unimportant? No, I don't want to do that. Everybody's important. And some of my relationships can go deeper. It doesn't make them more important on a scale of value. It just means they have this, I can go deeper with them. And that, okay, gosh, I'm getting all balled up in this. Share with others, time, intentionality, having a plan. It may be that's going to cost me money to do that. One of the time-tested ways to help others is giving them bucks. Not everybody needs money, though. Those who do, we live in a world where you've got dozens and dozens and dozens of ways to offer your money to help people in need. Look at it. For me, it always starts with my 10% to the church that I am part of. And then from there, it goes outward. And so, the phrase tithes and offerings, okay, my tithe and my offerings. And then there's this other part. Maybe I'm in line at McDonald's and just for the fun of it, I pay it forward for the person behind me. Or, keep your eyes open. You're going to have opportunities. So share with others. Now, the second level of that has to do with share who I am, what I'm about with others. A lot of people, they don't really want to go there. I know some people are just out there. And I mean, you meet them once and you're going to get their entire life story. I'm not that way. I tend to go layer by layer to whatever degree I feel safe with. Okay, however you're wired, share who you are. What, and most important, whose you are. And that can be done in a lot of different ways. Everything from street preachers right on down to very quiet people who build relationships that are safe and in which they can talk about whose they are. I guess, however you're wired, you've got to not forget to share with others. And then it says, for with such sacrifices, God is pleased. I love to please God. I mean, on one level, that's what I'm about. I want more than anything to please Him. Except for those moments when more than anything, I want to please myself. Probably not your problem. And then in verse 17, have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority. What leaders are we talking about here? In its direct context, I think we're talking about the leaders of the church. Have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority because they keep watch over you as those who must give an account. Do this so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that would be of no benefit to you. Different churches are organized differently. But in century 1, they were organized with an established pattern where there were designated leaders, and that was the elders. There were also designated deacons and deaconesses. The elders, from what we gather, they helped the church establish their goals and objectives, and then kept them on track for that. There were paid elders and there were unpaid elders. There were elders who were preachers and teachers. There were elders who evidently were not. Not every elder was a preacher or a teacher. The deacons and deaconesses were the hands and feet. They were the ones who took care of people, who had direct interaction with them on the level of their needs, and primarily from the book of Acts, I get the impression it was their physical needs. Well, okay. So is that like a military or political hierarchy where the elders are like, the president and his cabinet? Could be, but I don't think it was. And one of the reasons I don't think that is because the church didn't originate in a democratic republic. It originated under Roman rule. And there were aspects of Roman rule that were kind of democratic, but it was still the Caesar and his wishes and his will. So there's this other kind of leadership that these people who received the original letter would have thought of. And I'm out of time, so I'll try to do better next time. when we get together on So Care with Stevie Boy.